Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to dig into a really powerful idea that helps explain the deep social and political tensions simmering in modern India. It's a story of a great divide, a clash between two very different visions of what the nation is and what it should become.
All right, here's how we're going to tackle this. First, we'll break down the core concepts. Then, we'll get to know the two groups at the very heart of this split. After that, we'll see how this all plays out, how they clash in some of India's biggest cities. And finally, we'll zoom out to look at the massive political impact this whole thing is having.
To really get a handle on modern India, you first have to understand this fundamental split in its society. There's this incredible framework that really helps make sense of all the economic, cultural, and political friction we see playing out today.
So here's the crucial thing to grasp. This divide, it's not just about who you vote for. It's way deeper. Think of it like a cultural and economic fault line running right through the country. It separates the people whose identity comes from their skills and accomplishments from those whose identity is completely tied to a specific place, a specific community, and a shared tradition. So let's start by profiling the first group. Who exactly is the Indian anywhere? Well, you can think of them as the main characters in India's big globalization story. They're the faces of what people often call India Incorporated. For the anywhere, it's not about where you're from, it's all about what you've done. These are your software engineers, your investment bankers, your management consultants. Their identity is something they've achieved. Their skills are portable, their professional networks span the globe, and they see India as this one giant marketplace of opportunity.
And now for the complete flip side. Let's step into the world of the Indian somewhere. This group represents the vast majority of the country. The India that is often called by its other name, Bharat.
For them, identity isn't something you achieve, it's something you're given. It comes from your neighborhood, your language, your community. These are the shopkeepers, the farmers, the artisans. Their lives, their skills are all deeply woven into a specific place. And their politics, it's not about abstract liberal ideals. It's about something much more personal: dignity, recognition, and security for their people. And this chart just lays it out perfectly side by side, doesn't it? You've got the India Inc. worldview clashing with Bharat, an identity based on individual merit versus one based on place and community. The individual versus the group. This fundamental contrast, well, it's the engine driving so much of India's friction today. So, where does all this tension actually boil over? Well, from Bengaluru and Mumbai to Delhi and Chennai, India's booming megacities are the battlegrounds where these two worlds, the anywheres and the somewheres, are forced to live right on top of each other, and it's not always comfortable.
Let's start with Bengaluru. It's really the perfect case study of an economy completely driven by the anywheres. This city has transformed itself into a global tech hub, pulling in a highly skilled, cosmopolitan workforce from every corner of India and, frankly, the world.
And the sheer scale of this economy is just staggering. We are talking about $81 billion in IT exports from just this one state, mostly coming out of Bengaluru. This is not some little local boom. It's a globally important industry that has completely remade this city's identity.
But, and this is a big but, that economic explosion has led to a massive demographic earthquake. The local Kannada-speaking somewheres, they're now less than half the population in their own city. And this creates a really deep anxiety, a fear that their culture and their language are being diluted by the very same migration that's making the city so successful. Okay, now let's jump over to Mumbai. Here, the clash is a bit different. It's a battle between the maximum city dream, the idea of endless opportunity for all, and the Sons of the Soil movement. This is really a fight for the very soul of the city. The city's economic engine is just a beast, making up a quarter of the state's GDP. But it's powered by a massive migrant population. Get this, almost half the city was born somewhere else. And this directly challenges the local Marathi-speaking somewhere identity. It creates all this friction over jobs, housing, and culture.
Now, this kind of social friction, it didn't just stay in the cities. Nope. It spilled out and has completely rewired Indian politics on a national level, sparking one of the biggest political shifts in the country's entire modern history.
You can see this clear shift, right? For about a decade, politics was pretty much dominated by an anywhere consensus. It was all about economic growth, globalization, that sort of thing. But after 2014, wham, you see this powerful somewhere counter-revolt. It's a political backlash that put cultural identity and a whole new kind of social contract front and center.
And this political movement was so successful because it combined two incredibly powerful appeals. First, it offered a unifying cultural identity through Hindutva, or Hindu nationalism, which gave a lot of somewheres a new sense of cultural confidence. And second, it delivered a new kind of social safety net, with direct benefits. This wasn't just about the money, it was about giving people dignity and a direct connection to the state.
So what does this huge divide actually feel like from the inside? If we step into the bubbles of these two different worlds, we can see just how far apart their visions for India really are.
The anywheres, well, they really see themselves as the architects of progress. They believe they're the ones building a modern, merit-based nation, and they get incredibly frustrated by what they see as the old-fashioned baggage of tradition, caste, and religion holding the country back from its true potential.
But the somewheres, they feel like their culture and their values have been looked down upon for decades by a tiny cosmopolitan elite. So for them, this big political shift isn't a threat. It's a long overdue correction. It's a moment where their voice is finally being heard. To them, this is democracy in action.
And the stakes here, they are incredibly high. A nation dominated completely by either side faces some pretty serious dangers. An anywhere-led India risks creating an oligarchy that just alienates the majority, while a somewhere-led India risks economic slowdown and social division.
Which leaves us with the central, massive, unresolved question. Can these two very different visions of India somehow coexist? Is it possible to build a new social contract that embraces both the dynamism of its globalized anywhere class and the deep need for dignity and recognition of its rooted somewhere majority? The future of the world's largest democracy might just depend on the answer.